Hey everybody, I'm David with Bolivar Live, and you know, we talk about home building a lot, but today we're going to talk about home protection.
Yep.
It's hurricane season.
Actually,
we're right in the brunt of it about now.
It's hurricane season, but it's not really kind of our season of hurricane season,
Right.
which is good because we've got time to get prepared.
Yeah, and today we're going to talk about preparations. And you know, I've done shows with Energy on what they do to prepare. I've done a show with Aaron and Franklin, which you use a lot, on what they suggest. I've done shows with EMS and that, talking about what they do, Galveston County OEM. And there's a lot of information you can get, checklists and ideas on the Galveston County Office of Emergency Management website. But you're down here, you're building homes.
Yeah.
We watch the weather. In fact, during Burl and one before that, I think, where I thought we were going to have some wind, we were talking back and forth, staying in touch, because I was telling you hey, we may have some wind in the next 2 days. If you've got any plywood laying around or you're going to put on roofing, you might want to think about it. But as a builder, what do you see some of the things that people need to do to get their home ready? Because I know, like after Burl, you had a stack of blue tarps because it was a wind event for us down here. And you've done a lot of repairs on homes because we had a lot of wind-driven rain, which you learned a lot from. And you can't stop wind-driven rain.
No, you know,
or it's hard to.
It's about being prepared, though. I mean, really and truly, you know, we've worked Harvey, Imelda, Burl, to just name the last ones that have really affected our area, you know, substantially. And a lot of people will say that Burl didn't affect us substantially. There's a lot of people that didn't realize what it actually did, and they're not going to realize it for a couple of years to come.
Right.
Because there was a lot of wind-driven rain in Burl that a lot of people just kind of,
by the time they got down, it was
or whatever.
gone.
And you know, you can have vinyl laminate floors, you can have tile floors, you can have carpet, I don't care. Once the water blows in underneath there, it gets on the subfloor, especially on these older houses that didn't have the type of subfloor that we use now. It's going to just sit there and rot out those houses. We probably did 10 jobs after Burl of subfloors and wind-driven rain underneath doors and different things like that. And you know, the easiest way to combat that is plywood over the door. I've been in the door molding business for 9 years with a company out of Mid-County, and you know, one of the things I would always tell people is, like, these things are not submarines. They're not waterproof. They are different things that you can do to make them stronger. We can do outswing doors instead of in-swing doors. We can do hurricane rated glass instead of non-hurricane rated glass, which you're supposed to have anyways. Although I go to these houses and I see that builders have put in non-approved doors in these homes, and you wonder why you can get them for so cheap. It's because they don't do things correctly. And then you turn around and we go outswing and we go multi-point. And what that does is it gives us 3 locking points, top, middle, and bottom. And then you go outswing, so the door and the pressure is pushing up against the house. Even with that, the weather stripping that goes around is a foam piece of weather stripping. Once it gets absorbed with water, it's going to be a sponge. And so it's going to allow water in. And there's no way of stopping it completely. There is ways of helping prevent it. One of the keys that I've told all of my customers that are up on the beachfront is, if you have an event like this, get a sheet of plywood over the top of that door. If the water can't hit that door, it's not going to go in your house. You don't have to have some type of fancy system. And if it does go over it, it's just going to drain down. It's going to drain the wall.
And here's an instance when you're talking about wind-driven rain down in Port Bolivar. My wife calls me at the peak of it and says, David, we're almost out of towels because we had a door that was facing the south. The wind was coming in, hitting directly, and we had an overhang. A good patio, but it was, when you get 70, 80, 90 mile an hour winds, you can't, it's sideways. It's not going down, and she sopped up and had towels there and sopped up and got blankets and stuff.
I tell people all the time, it's equivalent of turning on a pressure washer and shooting it on the face of your house for 10 to 12 hours.
Yeah.
That's what we got. And so if you think that because it was only a Category 1 and it came down in Matagorda instead of here,
it puts us on the bad side.
But it puts us on the bad side of it, and we catch all that wind that's coming right off the Gulf and it's blowing right into our house. So preparedness, let's talk about it. Like having some plywood around so that you can keep it over the top of those doors.
Even if you have hurricane-proof doors and that,
they're hurricane rated. They're not hurricane proof. And, and even impact rated glass is to stop projectiles from coming in. They're going to have flex. Those windows are made out of vinyl and glass. They're going to flex because if they don't flex, as soon as they get any pressure, they're going to break the glass. And so they're going to have some play. And so you have to be versed in that. And it also comes back to how your house was built. I mean, like what type of sheathing they're using on the outside, you know, or how your windows are wrapped, how they're installed, different things like that. But when it comes to preparedness is you know, the emergency management system, they have a great list of things like you've talked about, but making sure that you have the things that you need here on the peninsula and making sure if you're one of those homeowners that's living in Beaumont, Dallas, Houston,
you have to come down.
You have to come down here that you already have those materials because they may not be available at the local lumberyard or what you need at the big store, or you know, we're getting into that time. Make sure you're prepared. Make sure your generator's running if you got a generator. Make sure you've got some gas cans. You know, you talked about, you know, a couple of days out, you get 2 gas cans, and you know, when you get within 48 hours, you got 5. Making sure, because you don't know, because Burl wasn't that bad, but we were out of power for a long time, and Keith was trying to figure out how to get gas down here.
We had to get power lines moved
to be able to get gas.
He did run out of gas, and you know, I always tell people, you can count on if something like Burl comes in or closer, we're not going to be able to get on or off this peninsula for a minimum at least 24 hours. Now it hit at 6 a.m. And we were able to, they started cleaning the road down there, actually the county and I think Energy did, you know, 11 or 12, 1 o'clock. So they could get ambulances, but the ferries closed down. And so if you have medical emergencies, get off the peninsula. It's easier to drive back the next day than it is be stuck down here and have a medical emergency. A lot of people pre-cut plywood and they label it for the door or the front window and that.
And you know what, like most of these homes have a 9-foot plate and a sheet of plywood comes at 8 foot tall, okay? Your door is gonna be 6'8" tall, so let's just call it 7 foot for reference. Go get an 8-foot sheet of plywood. Who cares if it fits perfectly? Just put it over the front door, screw it to the 1x4 that wraps around the door, and be done with it. That's all you got to do. It's not, you don't have to have carpenter skills. You don't have to hire somebody to do this. Like, just protect your home so that whenever you come back to it, or if you're staying in it, you know what you got and you know where you're at.
Where you're at. Great, great. For more information, like I said, go to there. If you have questions, you know, or you need some plywood and you've got some questions on what you should cover, give Landon a call. He's a builder. He can tell you, you know, I would do this, this, and this. Get with your neighbors. A lot of people that have stayed down here know what it takes to survive. And we've got a lot of new people down here, especially when Burl hit.
Well, neighbors are key as well. I don't mean I know we're trying to end this show, but neighbors are key because if you're not here and they stayed or vice versa, you can give updates on their house to them, but also just having that other person, you know, close by that you can just check on to make sure they're okay and they check on to make sure you're okay if you do decide to stay is key, because like you said, you may not be able to get out of here for 48 hours.
And if we don't have power, cell phones go down. You know, I've got batteries to charge cameras. I've got batteries to charge cell phones. I've got stuff in my truck I carry. And if we have to leave, there's a certain process that Chris and I take. We know she's going to leave at this time in the morning to beat traffic. She's got this box with all our information, a cooler, the dog. I'm going to be in High Island. If I leave High Island, it's going to be bad. And so we've got a process down, and always, man, before you leave your house, take that last round of photos, because you never know how much it may help you when insurance comes around. So Landon, thanks for joining us. Hopefully we don't have to use any of this year, but if we do, at least you've got a head start on it. So we're gonna head on out. Until next time, I'm David with Bolivar Live. Y'all have a great day, great week. Come see us. God bless, and bye-bye. Video equipment is sponsored by Crystal Beach Decor and More, located at 1959 Highway 87 in Crystal Beach, Texas, and Beachy Beatnik Boutique and Jewelry, located at 970 Surfside and Highway 87 in Crystal Beach, Texas. Thank you to these two businesses for being our 2025 video equipment sponsor for Bolivar Live.